Hello and good morning, ladies and gentlemen, all around the world. Thank you for tuning in to this USA Cricket Women's Nationals 2023 in Pearland, Texas at Musa Stadium. It's a pleasure to bring you this live broadcast. I'm Om Patel, joining you from this very hot and humid day. It's 9:57 local time here in Pearland and already moving well above the 90s as we head towards 10 o'clock. And the start time, this Women's Nationals, again, such a historic event. 4 teams this year, and we'll get to see a new side. Yesterday we saw the East and the Southeast Central. Today we have the matchup between the East and the West. The West winning in yesterday's match and the East losing yesterday, and so now they'll get to play each other. Remember that Friday, tomorrow, we'll have the finals and the third place game, so there is something to play for each of these teams. And the West, they'll see their first action here at Musa Stadium. Played yesterday's match at the Ballkeys Field, just behind where the umpire is standing at the moment. For the West, the playing 11 goes as follows. Sindhu Sriharsha, she'll be captaining and keeping wicket. Giovanna Ras, Gargi Bogle, Ritu Divedi, Sanvi Amadi, Varshita Jambula, Anika Reddy Kolan, Jitna Reddy Patiyala, Jitna Prasad, Sahani Tadani, and Asani Vagela will make up the 11 for the West. For the East, it looks like there is going to be a new opening pair. Yesterday we saw Nika Wallerson come out to bat alongside Disha Dhingra. Today, Disha Dhingra, she's at the non-strikers end. But it's Bhakti Sastry who'll be on strike and ready to start things off here for the East, trying to get off to a better start. And for the West, opening the bowling is going to be Suhani Tadani. With the ball in hand to get things underway. Again, a very hot and humid day. We have 4 matches that will be played. 2 here on Musa Stadium and then 2 on Ballkeys Field, as we mentioned earlier. And the first runs will come courtesy of a wide and one off of it. And for this western side, Sahani Tadani, someone who's very young, recently turned 17 and has already represented the country at the national level and at the under-19 level. From San Jose, California, and cricket seems to run in the blood of the Tadanis. As she gets back onto line here. Of course, Suhani Tadani having an older brother, Dev Tadani, who plays in minor league cricket in the United States. And so credits him as part of the reason why she has picked up the game as well. And for Suhani Tadani, you can see that gully on the screen. Also a deep third man. As this one's driven just back out. But we saw yesterday the keepers have a tough time with keeping on this wicket. Not sure if the delivery is going to stay lower or not, and some just stay a little bit too low. You see almost glass-like. Can see kind of the reflection of Disha Dhingra there on your screen. As this one's dug in a little bit shorter and it's tucked into the leg side for one. This is going to be a thing to watch for the East. We saw yesterday a real struggle to get runs flowing consistently. Saw in their chase of 106, they were just 20-odd runs after 10 overs, so they're going to want to fix that. We had John Aaron in the booth yesterday, who is with the Eastern side, and he was definitely talking about getting that strike rate up and putting some more impetus in the innings. So something to watch for in today's match. And that's Well struck there into the offside. Well stopped at cover. But this is a better start to the innings here for the East. They're going to want to do just this. Find the singles and then wait for the boundaries to come. Again, if you get to 3 figures here, you'll feel pretty confident about defending a total. Plenty of good bats left in the dugout for the East as well. This one, Fuller and Schrader, big shout. No interest there for the umpire. Probably headed down leg. This Dingra yesterday, she fell 4 runs short of a 50. But she wouldn't be necessarily too proud of that innings. Didn't really get anything going. Showed off a couple of the shots that we know she can play. Very experienced campaigner in her own right. This one's pushed into the offside, straight to backward point. Throw comes in, but they'll get the single. You can see real intensity here from the East running between the wickets as we close out the first over. It's 5 without loss. So pace to continue from both ends. We saw yesterday a combination of pace and spin here from the pavilion end. Looks like the new bowler is going to be Varshita Jambula, 14-year-old from Northern California. Starts off well. Again, something that we saw the bowlers from yesterday have a lot of success on this wicket. Stay around stumps, and a key for the batters is going to play with a straight bat. We've seen deliveries just hang a little bit low and a lot of wickets falling on cross-batted shots, trying to go across the line, especially if you keep it on stumps. So that's going to be a key here for the bowlers. You can see Disha playing with that exact straight bat. Again, the key is going to be finding a way to not only keep the balls away from your stumps, but finding ways to score. It's a packed field inside the ring. Just the third man out in the deep, everyone else inside the circle. But if you're able to just drop it down close to the wicket, there is a single on offer. This one is flicked into leg side. Well struck, well timed. Should be a couple of runs, and they'll get a couple. Dingra will be happy about that, getting one on her legs. And we saw anything on the legs were maybe the easier deliveries to play, even the ones with width. It was hard to slash because of just that variable bounce, but anything on the legs we saw put away. A hint of movement, but brilliantly driven there from Disha Dingra. Not going to have the legs to get to the boundary. And Bhakti Sastry just keeps it to 1, but can real confident stroke that, and more of those is what's going to be required here from the East. And we've seen some big bats in that dugout. Think about the captain, Melanie Henry. Think about Anika Wallerson. Aditi Chudasama still to come. So Bhakti Sastry, we'll get another look at her. Saw her in a brief cameo yesterday. Showed off an innovative stroke, but want to see what she can do in a whole innings. This one strays down the leg side. Going to be a wide there. Again, freebies, and something to watch for the East. Yesterday gave up about 30 runs in extras, and so you don't want to give up any runs here in extras. Don't want to give up too many. We've seen it's been hard to score, difficult to get going quickly. And as a chasing side, if you are the West, if you can keep them down to below 80, you feel real comfortable. This one on the legs, big shout, and is given straight away. Bhakti Sastry, a look of disbelief there, but it looked pretty good. Again, we are on an angle, so can't entirely tell, but there was no real doubt from Ivy Mohambir. She was quick to raise that finger. And Varshita, she gets wicket number 1 in the form of Bhakti Sastry. And if you take another look at this, we already mentioned how being close to the stumps or on stumps has been beneficial to the bowlers. If you have a look at this, again, just angling into stumps and the bat doesn't come down quick enough. And Ivy Mohambir goes up straight away. She did move across her stumps there, Bhakti Sastry. If you take a look from this angle, yeah, it looked like it hit on that right pad as well, and that one probably in line with middle stump. Reason that there was no real doubt there. So Bhakti Sastry in and out for her. And we'll bring out Aditi Chudasama. And we've already talked about this partnership in yesterday's matchup. 2 youngsters, Disha 16, Aditi 17, both from New Jersey. Both of whom have been a part of the USA Under-19 women's setup and went to that inaugural ICC Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup. And some good way to end that over there for Varshita. Showed real confidence and real control there. Stayed on the stumps. And that'll close out the second over. It's 9 for 1. We welcome you back here for the third over. Here in this matchup between the East and the West. And Suhani Tadani to continue. A better start for her. You can see the angling back into the stumps. And the brilliant pictures brought to you today by our broadcast partner, Smart Choice. And we know all the families for all these players love to see these videos wherever they are watching from. Again, angling in. And this one hit to square leg. A little bit of a misfield. It's going to lead 1. A little bit of change in the field from Suhani's first over. That gully fielder taken out. Well, as I say that, they bring that gully fielder back into play for Aditi Chudasama. So the third man out in the deep. Interesting how wide and how far that gully fielder is. Driven by the Chudasama, and it's going to get through backward point for 1. I think that's why, because Chudasama loves that drive. We've seen her play through the covers a lot. An area of real liking and strength for her. So that gully fielder really in place for just that edge, and she were to fend at 1. Disha Dhingra also someone who likes playing through covers, but gully fielder not in place there. Instead, moved to short cover. This one is pushed in that region, but it's away from the fielder. Should be a couple. And they'll bring up 2 more runs from that. Again, this is going to be a real key for the East. Getting those runs in every over and finding ways to keep the scoreboard ticking. We heard John Aaron talk about these 2 yesterday and how excited he was to see these 2 in the middle. 2 very young, talented cricketers. This one again pushed to the offside, but fine short cover. Again, a lot of youth will be displayed, a lot of youngsters, and just shows the growth of the game here in the United States as we see deep cover drop back. So daring Dishadingra to drive in that area. And just fends it away. They're going to go for a quick single. They'll get it in the end. You can see the hands on the head from Sindhu Sriharsha. Can't quite believe they made that single. Probably should have been a run out, but they'll close out the third over. It's 14 for 1. Well, looks like the West will continue with Varshita Jambula, and why not? She's been rather terrific. 4 runs in her first over. Did take that wicket of Bhakti Sastry. Again, full and straight, and overthrows might lead to one. It won't. But again, Varshita has looked good, and Disha Dhingra, something she's going to want to look at. It was the strike rate yesterday. It's probably just a touch slower than she would have liked. She's going to want to find ways to score runs in more frequent fashion. Pulled the length back, and that's where you're going to want to operate if you're Varshita. She is getting a little bit of sideways movement. Does get up a little bit gimpy there, but we've seen the ball just in the air, and it may be due to the crosswinds that we have at Musa Stadium. Just hint in either direction. And from there, really would have to reach for a drive to Shadingra or have to create a shot. And so if Varshita can operate around that length, she'll find another wicket. This one brilliantly hit, but hit straight to the fielder. Quick throw comes in, but the running was quick. Again, clear calls. We saw a couple of runouts in yesterday's match for the Southeast Central. Again, these two would have played cricket together for some time, both from New Jersey. So they'll have an understanding of how each other's games are and how they like to operate. This one a little bit shorter and just defended away from Aditi Chudasama. Again, to me, that's the biggest balance that's going to have to be found for these women is getting themselves in but finding runs while they do so. I think that's the next stage of their evolution as cricketers, is being able to up the ante and not letting dot balls pile on top of each other. You can see that stroke there, looking to run it down to third man. So there's that intent. I think that's a key thing here. Even though it doesn't result in a run, there is that intention. Could have simply just pushed the bat at it and kept it away from her, but rather opened the face and looked to run it through third man. Just couldn't find the gap. This one straighter, pushed down the ground, but mid-on there to keep it to none. It's a good over, just 1 run coming from it. 4 overs gone, it's 15 for 1. Welcome back here to Musa Stadium for this 2023 USA Cricket Women's Nationals. See Aditi Chudasama, Disha Dhingra on your screen at the moment. And it's Asani Vaghela who'll be coming in to bowl, replacing Sohani Tadani from the Balkis field end of the ground. Another youngster, 17, from California. Really impressed in last year's Nationals. We'll start off with one just inside that wide line. We mentioned how Sohani Tadani has an older brother who plays cricket in the United States. Well, Isani Vagela, her older brother, has represented the country. Vatsal Vagela, left-arm spinner. And how about that delivery? This is why we've seen Isani Vagela all over the world, whether it's in the women's 60 for the Guyana Amazon Warriors or part of the under-19 setup for the USA or the women's setup. It's her ability to operate outside the off stump, angle it in. And this one's hit through covers. It's just going to be held to none. Throw comes in rather wild, a little bit of a collision, and you can see Sindhu Sriharsha making sure the Shadingra is all right. But with how powerfully the Shadingra is looking to throw her bat through the covers, I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe an extra fielder brought at short third just to give that catching opportunity. Again, you can see how she's operating in that channel, Isani. And with where she's bowling, maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to take a fielder maybe at a short mid-wicket and bring it into a fly slip or a short third. Maybe just a genuine slip, just for that outside edge. This one, though, takes a weird bounce off the wicket. Will be a wide, but doesn't take away from how good this over's been from Isani Vagela. Again, the vice captain for the West today. Again, angling in, and you can see how it's cutting away off the wicket, and that's the troublesome part of Isani Vagela. As a batter, you're always playing inside the line, and then just that little bit of movement away, you can catch that outer half of the bat. And for players like Deshadingra and Aditi Jasma who love that cover area, it's something to take part of. This one much straighter, clipped into mid-wicket. And just be held just the wide in that over, so really good over that from Isani Vagela. 5 overs gone. It's 16 for 1. Well, so far we've seen bowlers who are operating from the state of California. We'll take a trip up north for the new bowler, Giovanna Arras, hailing from the state of Washington, and who's also played on the USA women's under-19 team. Again, good to see cricket kind of bloom and blossom like tulip fields, far and wide, just spreading into pockets all over the country. Giovanna, just 19 years of age, and has found success early on in her career. Starts full and straight, nearly Yorker length, and again, with bowling like this from the West, it's going to be tough for the East to get going, but this is going to be the biggest question. How do you get going against good bowling? I think that's what separates good batters from great batters. Pressure situations, good bowling. This is where you can really separate yourself as an individual. This time dug in shorter, clipped off the legs. Should be at least a couple of runs down to backward square. A little bit of confusion. Probably could have come back for 2, but just 1 there. And going back to Giovanna. Yes, has played for the USA Under-19 side, but also in fair break for the Sapphires. And so it's good to see these young cricketers getting opportunities through competitions like fair break. This one driven through the covers, but straight to that cover fielder. Struggling to find that gap anywhere left or right of that fielder. There's one because the deep cover's in place. And that's going to be the key here. How can these 2 batters find gaps? Deshadingra, she's played 23 balls. She's going to want to start speeding things up now. This one just a touch shorter, but same result. Straight to that cover fielder inside the ring. Past 3 overs, we've seen 3 runs. One of them courtesy of an extra. So this has been tight bowling, but also for the East, feels like they're finding that rut of yesterday where they just go through a phase where they can't pick up any runs. This one wide down the leg side, just a little bit too straight was Giovanna on that occasion, but you can see the intent from all the bowlers is to be rather close to stumps. When we get too far down the legs, we've seen a lot of runs scored in that area, but when it's close to stumps, it's been difficult. This one, as you mentioned earlier, it's just for that ball that might skid through, stay a touch lower. You can see how difficult that was for Sindhu Sriharsha to keep as well. Just kind of came about the shin height off the wicket. And so that's why it's so hard to operate in that offside when it's on a length. Just because the variable bounce that we've seen already on the wicket. This one a little bit wider. It's going to be pushed to mid-off, and they'll get that quick single. But another good over here for the West. Just 2 runs coming from it, and they close out the power play 19 for 1. Well, yesterday we saw 106 defended. The Southeast Central, they beat the East by 14 runs. And the East are going to need to pick things up if they want to get themselves into that 90 to 100 range. But the task does not get easier. Another over to be bowled by Asani Vagela. No runs coming off the bat against Asani yet. Start off with the wide here, just getting too far away from stumps. You can see the ploy from Asani is to invoke the drive and see if she can't find the outer edge of the bat. And if Sindhu Sriharsha can't take that catch behind the stumps, but is going to want to start straighter. Where she's most dangerous is on that 5th, 6th stump in the channel. Just there. Probably wants to be a touch fuller, but that's the line that she's going to look to attack because of the way her ball angles in and cuts away. An exciting young talent for the USA. And we talk about, we have all 4 players on the screen who have worn the national colors. That one just too far away from Deshadingra. And Aditi Sridhasama has been in since the second over, she's only seen 7 deliveries, and Disha Dinger's going to want to get things going. We talked about how she was 10 from 23. She's 11 from 29 now. Really struggling to get bat on ball. This one pushed, but nowhere to go for Dinger and Turdasama. No real conviction in the shot either. And again, starting to fall into yesterday's strike rate and yesterday's flow of the game or the East. Don't want to wait too long to get things going. Again, big hitters in the dugout, but we've seen it hard to score quickly. This one going to be deemed a wide, just too far away from Dinger. And again, for the field, Sindhu Shiharsha's kept it really simple. Hasn't changed it up. The deep third is the only man in the deep in the moment, as well as a deep cover. So understands these two are very good through the offside and where Asani's bowling. This one's pushed, but again, straight to the fielders inside the ring. Of course, Sindhu Shiharsha, captain of the U.S. women's national side, and has that experience. And so for the West, you can feel really good about having that experience in your field setting. And she would have worked a lot with Asani Vaghela, and having seen a lot of what these talents around the country do. This one a little bit slower, but given wide. You can see Disha Dinger there, though. The intent was to move across the stumps and play. So Vaghela just struggling with her line at the moment. And still no runs off the bat. And we'll still have no runs off the bat. Again, she's been tough to get bat on ball to and tough to put away when you do get bat on ball. Just got to find her line and keep those extras off the scorecard. 1 ball left here in the 7th. Just 22 runs on the board for the East. They've only lost a wicket, so they'll enjoy that part of it, but going to need to find some runs. And won't do it there. It's a good ball, just jagging away off the wicket. 7 overs gone. It's 22 for 1. So it's Giovanna Arras to continue. The helmet's now on for Sindhu Shiharsha. Maybe suggesting we'll see some spin in the next couple of overs, or maybe just because of the way the wicket has been. Again, not easy to score quickly. But for these two now, it's going to be key. And we saw this yesterday. The reason Ivy Mohambira stopped Giovanna Arras there was the crosswinds taking off the bails. We saw it quite a bit. That's why there's a little bit of camera shake. Just because of that crosswind blowing. Mighty gusts here in Pearland, Texas. This one on the legs, clipped into the leg side, straight to mid-wicket. They'll get one. Again, the West has been tight in the field. We've seen a misfield here or there, but they've made these two earn every run as they run between the wickets. We mentioned the weather just a little bit ago. 92 degrees it is already, just 10:31 local time, a humidity of 60%. The wind's blowing 11 miles an hour at the moment, and that can pick up in a hurry. This one again, full and straight, worked into the leg side. Going to be one. Just take the one, and Again, if you are Giovanna, going to want to get away from the legs. Again, being on stumps is fine, but don't want to be that full and on legs. We've seen a lot of runs scored during that period and that area. Again, for those of you just joining us, we'll have a second game here at Moosa Stadium. 4 games being played total. As this one is hit through the offside, just to cover inside the ring. And this is just really sharp from the West. They looked like that could have been an easy single. It took a bit of fielding to save that one, but was able to pick it up and throw it pretty quickly. Looking to go through covers, unable to find it. Disha Dhingra. Again, a similar story to yesterday. Struggling to get things going quickly. Again, looking to go through covers, but again, unable to find it. Dhingra struggling to hit that shot of hers that she really enjoys. Struggling to up the ante. Just 25 runs here. 11 runs through 3 overs, and now they've just been held stagnant. Leaves the last ball alone, and 8 overs are gone, and just 25 runs on the board for the loss of 1 wicket. So we'll have our first sign of spin here. Got some runs for Aditi Chudasama, and again, going to need plenty more where that came from. And it's Chetna Prasad with the ball in hand. The youngster from San Francisco, California. As this one's struck nicely into the leg side by Disha Dhingra. Good work to keep it from going to the boundary rope. Keep it to just 2, but some signs of life there for Dhingra. Chetna Prasad, again, 17 from San Francisco and represented the national side. This one, a shout from Sindhu Sriharsha. Not interested was the umpire. A late shout from Chetna Prasad seemed to be a reactionary one. But again, daring the batters to cut, and cutting on this ground, on this surface. Hasn't been easy. This one pulled in the air over the top of mid-wicket inside the ring, and it's going to go race all the way to the boundary. It'll be 4 runs there for Disha Dhingra. A welcome boundary, that. The first one of the innings, and Dish will need plenty more where that came from. And the current run rate sitting at 3.6 at the moment. So they're going to need a lot more of that to give themselves an opportunity to put a big total on the board. Again, looking to take it into the leg side. We'll find one. It looks like that'll close out the 9th over. It's 33 for 1. Giovanna Ross to continue. She'll bowl her 3rd over, just giving up 6 runs in 2 of them. Starts straight, worked into the leg side, and they'll find one. So runs starting to come off the bat for Disha Dhingra now. For Dichi Chudasama, only played 11 deliveries, and we know how explosive she can be, the best batter in the 2022 Women's Nationals. Haven't been able to see her exploits with the bat quite yet. And it's because of the good bowling so far from the West and Giovanna Ross keeping Chudasama at bay. This one full and straight. Comes off of the wicket, and they'll get 1 for it. Dichi Chudasama has looked to get off strike as much as she can. Just looking to rotate as quickly as possible, and so that is always, good to see, especially when the runs haven't been flowing for her side. This one clipped into the leg side. Well worked again. Will be 1. They're going to think about 2. Dhingra wants 2, and she'll get home for it. Good, sharp running. And good alertness there, and you can see Chudasama saying good call. Wasn't thinking about the second originally, but again, if you make that call early enough, you're able to make up ground. This time gets through covers, but just that fielder again struggling to pierce that gap for the shot that she so commonly plays. We saw her play it yesterday on 3 or 4 occasions and get boundaries in that area. And again, unable to get scored through the offside. Well, she'll get it through in the end. A little bit of indecisiveness there, but they'll pick up the single to end the 10th over. It's 38 for 1. We welcome you back to this USA Women's Cricket Nationals here in Pearland, Texas, as Chetna Prasad continues. And I have a happy man with me in the commentary box at the moment because his side has put the brakes on an innings, and I have Vijay Chukka with me, the coach of the West here in this tournament. Vijay, nice of you to come into the AC, I'm sure. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. This is really nice to see some quality cricket, and thank you for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely. And your side has gotten off to a good start today. You guys won yesterday, and then to play here at Musa. Did you have a conversation about the difference playing at Balkis, playing at Musa, and what that'd be like, or was it really kind of the same formula you were looking at?
I think for a lot of the West Zone girls, they have played in Musa before, but I think for them it's more the process of getting through. I think we come from an area where we don't play in the 100-degree conditions. I think getting used to the playing in the heat and getting recovery and coming back fresh to the game, and we have back-to-back today. So I think that was the main focus, and execute their skills. They've played the skill level cricket. They just want to execute. Yesterday, I think they conceded a little more extras than they wanted. I think that was the talk to reduce those extras today.
Yeah, and you have a very experienced side, of course, in Harsha, the captain, but talk about the likes of Sonia Thadani, Sani Vagela, who have all played national side cricket, and to have those Chetna Prasad, who's bowling at the moment as well, to have all that experience, especially Sindhu Harsha. What's that like when you go over there and you have chats with them? How does having a presence like Sindhu help your team as we close the 11th over 41 for 1?
It is a huge help. Having these seniors, makes my life a lot easier, and my job is, I think, to just make sure Sindhu is on point on her game. I know she does a lot of, managing and taking care of the players, and she's actively managing the game, which is wonderful to see. And the senior players, I think they still want to improve. They have the hunger, and I think it rubs on rest of the girls that play with them, and I think that's very good to see.
Yeah, and you mentioned the seniors and then what it would rub off to. Talk about the new bowler coming into bowl, Ritu Devedi. And, again, she's someone who is coming up through the ranks, and this year 4 teams instead of 2. What do you think that means for the future of, women's cricket in the United States, and also just, the future of USA women's cricket?
With the Major League Cricket and all the cricket that's happening in the USA and the women's game taking off, is really exciting to see a lot of players, and it's good to see it's not just 1 or 2 parts of the country. I think we're getting girls and ladies playing from even the Midwest and rural parts of the country, which is nice to see. Definitely a lot of interest, and a lot of coaching focus is also on the women's, and now we have teams traveling to UK and other countries, just the women's team, and the at the youth level, U13, U15 level, coaching has improved as well for the girls and women's team.
Yeah, and you would have seen a lot of these players for a long period of time, a lot of them just picking up cricket, but to see how quickly they've all progressed, and not just the senior members, but players like Ritu Devedi, who this is her first nationals. To see those players progress as quickly as they have, what's that mean to you as one of the coaches in this tournament?
It is. I think it has to do with a lot of, like we talked about, Sindhu and the seniors, creating that atmosphere for the youngsters so that they feel at ease here. And I think it's the whole cricketing community is so welcoming, so they don't feel out of place. And I think it is a big cricketing family that we have in USA, and that helps a lot of these youngsters come across.
Yeah, and we mentioned it. A lot of youngsters. Think about the 2 in the middle right now, Disharasma, Dishadingra, who have started to find a little bit of a flow. But you mentioned the seniors in Sindhu Harsha, and you mentioned the heat a little bit ago. It's not just that it gets to 90 and 100 degrees. I think the humidity plays a big factor, right? Almost 95% humidity and lots of dew on the ground, and then in the early mornings, and then you just constantly sweat. How important have you preached the hydration and just through that as a recovery process?
Yeah, it's not just me. I think the whole USA Cricket, I think from the time we're here, all of the staff, every single person here has been reminding the players to hydrate, not just during the game, before the game, during the game, after the game, and it's been going wonderfully well. The best I have seen so far. I think this has been run very smoothly. A lot of credit to Julie and a lot of volunteers that are working here. One of the best tournaments I've come under USA Cricket.
Well, it's been great to see all this. Of course, all the pictures brought to you by our broadcast partner, Smart Choice. And again, the quality of cricket you mentioned earlier has been really good. How important is getting to the finals to your team? Obviously, this is a selection tournament, but is there that little bit of wanting to win it for the West, for all the girls who play out in the West and just the region of the country that all these girls are representing?
Yeah, that's the number one goal for the West. I think we want to be the best team in the country. That's what I preach, and the players buy into it. And I think that's what we're looking for. Hopefully, we'll get there.
Well, it's been a really good start for you guys. Last ball here in the 12th over, just 45 on the board for the East. And a half-hearted appeal lead to a single to close out. First over, maybe? Yes, it will. So that'll close out the 12th over. A good over for Ritul in her first. We'll bid Vijay farewell. Thank you so much for joining us. And, again, it's good to have you, and we'll hope to have you back sporadically throughout the tournament. But good luck to your side for the rest of the tournament.
Thank you. It was wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much.
So the new bowler coming in for the West is another one of those youngsters. We were just hearing Coach Vijay Chukka talk about Jitna Reddy Bhagyadiala, who was the player of the match for exploits with the bat in yesterday's match for the West. As this one's taken into the leg side. Again, also a left arm orthodox, and we talk about the men's side of things. There seems to be just not even an excess, but just a plethora of left arm orthos, and it seems to be trickling on down as well as we see Chetna with the ball in hand. Always good to have an away spinner. As this one stays low and crashes onto stumps. It's a second wicket there, and Aditi Chudasama has to go. It's been a painstaking stay at the crease. Just try to hang on the back foot and run it down. Probably not the length to hang on to the back foot either. Did stay a touch low. Crashes onto the base of the stumps, and her second delivery. Jitna Reddy, she'll take her first wicket. Again, for Aditi Chudasama, wasn't a stay at the crease you'd want to remember. Didn't really look any rhythm or flow. And was just looking to run it down to third man. It seemed just well too close, well too straight to do that. That one, of course, coming on to middle stump. Probably would have been better off driving it straight back down the ground. But the West, after choking down on the East, causing the runs to come to a halt, breaks the partnership that looked to seem to just be getting their feet under them. But they'll bring out the captain, Melanie Henry, for the East, and we saw her hit a massive six from this side of the ground. Again, Jitna Reddy bowling from the Balkis field end. We saw Melanie very willing to use her feet to come down and attack the bowler. So if you're Jitna Reddy, that's going to be the big thing. How do you attack someone who's willing to use their feet? Again, Sindhu Harsha hasn't changed the field, hasn't been forced to yet. Deep mid-wicket, deep cover. That's all that's been asked. But we know Melanie Henry can go straight back down the ground. It's a good length, that from Chetan Reddy. You can see her not pitching it too far up. It's just on that good length, or even if you come down, you'd still be reaching for the ball. This time drags it in short. Head out to fielder long gone. Again, that fielder out there for Melanie Henry, and will stay out there for Disha Dhingra, just offering that extra bit of protection. Also now mid-off goes to long off. So there are singles on offer here if you're Disha Dhingra. Don't have to go for the big slog. Just can push in any of those gaps. Looks to go over the offside, but straight to point. The simplest of catches taking there. Really a soft dismissal for Disha Dhingra, who had been in for quite some time. Again, I think just a little bit too straight to cut. Unable to really place it. Cuts it straight to point. Again, if you take another look at this. So again, on that good length from Chetan Reddy. And it's on stumps, looking to make some room and cut, and just hit it straight to that fielder. Again, Chetan Reddy coming in and making an impact straight away. Player of the match in yesterday's matchup against the Southwest. She's already making a case for the player of the match today. For what she's already done with the ball. 2 wickets, just giving up 2 runs. With 1 ball to go here in her first over. And after 2 mainstays having a long period of time in the middle. Bring out 2 fresh bats. The new batter is Lekha Shetty. Lekha didn't have a long stay at the crease yesterday. Lekha, of course, from that Northern Virginia area, plays her cricket up there. So we'll have an opportunity to express her talents, but we'll have to get out of this over from Chetan Reddy. Straying down the leg side. It's come off the legs of Lekha Shetty. Not going to be too pleased with that. Could have been a wide, but it ends up being the end of the 13th over. A good one for the West. That's 48 for 3. Well, just as you thought maybe the East were starting to build, you saw singles starting to flow. It's all come to a halt thanks to Chetan Reddy, Bhagya Diala. And now Melanie Henry and Lekha Shetty will have to rebuild. They'll be facing Ritul Dilweti. Starts off on the legs and worked in to the leg side. There was a little bit of a fielding adjustment there. Long on and long off for Melanie Henry. Both of whom are now coming up. Looks like inside the circle are those 2 fielders now. So for Lekha Shetty, daring her to go over the top. There's a backward square and a cow corner in place. This one inside edge. Just flails back to Sindhu Harsha. And we heard it from Coach Vijay Chuka earlier, just how the senior players take a little bit of a load off, and having, obviously, the captain of the USA Women's National side is a huge help to him and for all the other players. as this one's pushed into the offside. No run on offer. Again, we've seen batters struggle to get it through the gaps in that cover area. And Ritul Dwivedi has been really impressive to start things off. This one's hit straight to short cover. Gonna need to find ways to score quickly here. The East, they just have 49 runs and with just 6 overs left. Gonna want to find a way into the 80s and the 90s. Put some of the runs on the board, and some of that pressure that runs on the board gives to the opposition. As this one's in the air and taken. A big roar from Ritul. It's her first wicket in this national championship. You can see again, just looking to go over covers. Found the outside edge, found short third. And a simple catch there. Lika Shetty goes without affecting the scores, and Ritul Dwivedi, she will pick up her first wicket and the 4th wicket for the West. They're having a timeout there. Just real dominant stuff here in the East. And they're continuing to collapse. It's 49 for 4. Again, if you just take another look at this is a great angle of it. Just looking to go over covers, found the outside edge, and never a doubt that one was going to be taken. And you see how excited Ritul was about that one. Nothing like taking your first wicket in a big tournament. Just gives you a lot of confidence going forward. As we'll see the new batter come in for the East. Looks to be number 9, Shrishti Amula. She being from the D.C. area. Plenty more than just a cricketer. We'll get that in the next over. As this one's pushed into the offside for no run. A really good over again for the West. Just 1 run and the first wicket for Ritul. It's 49 for 4 after 14. Continuing from the Balkis field end of the ground. The big shout, not given, but it's a good length that Chetni Reddy Pagdiala. His bowling here is just keeping it out of the levers of Melanie Henry. As this one just touched into the offside. Again, struggling to find runs or the East. It doesn't seem to be just a couple of players, but for these brand new bats, it's always hard to get going. Looking to just touch and run, but a fielder near the wicket. You can see the aggressive field set here from Sindhu Harsha. That gully fielder. Long on and long off back. But right now, just unable to get the ball off the wicket is Melanie Henry. Use of the feet, Yorkshire, just Chetna Reddy. And that's really smart bowling. Spotting the movement early, adjusting the length, cramping Melanie Henry up for room. Not letting her dictate terms. Signs of a cerebral bowler. This one stays a little low. Takes a kick off the surface, but won't result in any runs. It's 15 overs gone. 50 for 4. Tight stuff here for the West. You can see Sindhu Harsha gathering the troops, calling out orders. As we get a single here for Melanie Henry. A much needed one. And the new bowler is going to be Sanvi Imadi. Pulling some leg spin, and Amula able to get one down the ground. And we've mentioned the older brothers of Suhani and Asani. Well, Sanvi Imadi has an older brother as well. Plays in minor league cricket, Ajay Imadi. Another one of these players who credits their older brother as part of the reason they've picked up the game. This one's picked up into the leg side. Won't get all the way to the rope, and you've seen Sindhu Harsha very clear with the plans here. For Melanie Henry, they're going to have fielders down the deep. Cow corner, long on, long off, deep cover. And for Sushri Amula, all but cow corner, come inside the ring. We're talking about Amula. A little bit to go. As this one just misses off stump. She's not just someone on the field. She has founded her own foundation, the Rise and Shine Foundation, in 2019, and it's a youth-led nonprofit to reduce food waste in her local community. So someone with very strong convictions as Shruti Amula, and seeing her pick up the game and seeing how quickly she's progressed starting her cricket in 2019. And these two in the middle have found an ability to get singles going. You're going to need plenty more of that to get themselves into a 70-80 range. This one swept into the leg side and powerfully struck. It's going to be another 6 for Melanie Henry. There's a good way to close out that over. We already saw her hit a 6 yesterday, and gets one in here, gets one in that slot. Frees the arms, goes across, and no chance for any fielder out in the deep. She'll find 6 runs there to close out the 16th over. It's 60 for 4. The East, as we enter the 17th over, we need plenty more of those big strikes from Melanie Henry. But they'll be having to do it off Suhani Tadani now, who's come back for her 3rd over. And starts on stumps and takes off stump. Again, we've talked about how hard it is to go cross bat on this surface. Melanie Henry made it look easy at the end of the previous over. Shushri Amula, she'll pay the price, though, on this occasion. Looking to take this one from the off stump to the leg side. And just a you miss, I hit situation. Take a look at this from Tadani again. The angle back in. Just stayed under the bat. And Tadani in her first ball back in her second spell. She'll pick up her first wicket, and the 5th wicket falls for the East. Again, it's pressing times now for the East because batters that come out to bat now are going to need to find runs rather quickly as Adya Rawat makes her way out into the middle. She'll have to get things going quickly. Again, here for the East, going to need to find ways to score runs and at least give Melanie Henry as much strike as they can. Shown the ability to hit the long ball. This one gets through everything. I think it's going to go down as buys that. I think that's why you've seen the reaction straight away from Sindhu Harsha. So good. behind the stumps, but I think just blinded in that occasion, and also just I think the ball maybe hanging a touch lower than she was expecting. You see Melanie Henry taking an off-stump guard here, and I think it's because she's looking to go big. Cow corner, long on, long off, deep mid-wicket. This one much straighter. Pulled the length back as well. That's smart bowling from Tadani. We've seen Melanie Henry's liking to deliveries that are fuller, where she can get onto the front foot and clear her front leg. Get the arms through the ball. Pulled the length back. Again, length back and not given wide that. And also did stay a touch lower as well. We've seen that on this surface. Something the players will have to adjust to rather quickly. And it's also something to watch for the West in their innings. When they get out to bat, it'll be the fourth time this wicket's been used. As this one's picked up into the leg side, they'll sneak away a single. A clean collection could have resulted in a run out there. I think Adi Arawat at some point had realized she probably wasn't going to make it home, but that spill from Tadani behind the stumps allows her to get there and bring Melanie Henry on to strike for the final delivery of the 17th over. Gets it into the leg side. Just going to find mid-wicket for one. Rawat was turning for two. But Henry shall reclaim strike here in the next over. 17 overs gone is 64 for 5. Well, 17 overs are gone. Just 64 runs on the board. And Asani Vaghela returns, and the task for the East doesn't get any easier. Asani just going for 4 runs in her 2 overs. None of those runs coming off the bat. All extras, so been tough to find gaps and get bat on ball. But Melanie Henry, she's got a task on her hands here. This is down the leg side. It's cleared into the leg side. Fielder from cow corner comes chase and gets home in the end. Maybe a better throw could have resulted in a run out, but you can see the intention straight away from Henry and Rawat is to run twos here, run them hard. Vaghela looking to cramp Melanie Henry for room. We saw in her first 2 overs, she was staying outside the off stump this time, onto the legs. Again, looking to go closer to the stumps there, dig in a Yorker, and found just the bottom end of the bat there for Melanie Henry, and it'll bring Rawat back on a strike, and the field closes back up. This one going to be a wide on the leg side. You can see the plan from Asani Vaghela early on, looking to be outside the off stump. Now in the death, looking to stay on stump, stay closer to the body, not give any width, an opportunity to free their arms. And so it shows some progression and some adaptability from these bowlers that they can change the plans this quickly. This one, inner half of the bat, they'll get one. It's good work there from Asani Vaghela to navigate the maze of 2 runners between the wickets and get to the ball. Underarm throw does take off a bail, but Melanie Henry well home. So again, a score of 90 plus, the East would be happy with. But they still got plenty of work to do. This one's just going to be into the leg side. Rawat turning for two. Henry turns late. Could be a run out. The other end, it was definitely one. And Rawat gets home. It's good running. It's selfless running there from Adya Rawat. I don't think Melanie Henry was really looking for the second. But Rawat turned so quickly. And throw goes to the wrong end as well. That throws at Sindhu Shiharsha. I think it's a conversation the West would have enjoyed. Full and straight, hit back down the ground. Gonna be one. And Rawat will have a play in the middle. With one ball left in the over. Have to imagine. Won't take a single here. Trying to give the skipper as much strike as they can. And no single taken. You can see Rawat was looking for it, but Henry knows it's the last ball of the 18th. And is looking to hold strike for as much strike as she can for the last 2 overs. 18 overs gone. It's 72 for 5. Well, Sindhu Shiharsha has elected to continue with her experience, going back to Suhani Tadani. It's been good in her previous 3 overs. This will be the important one to bowl to. Hold the length back. We saw her in the previous over do that to Melanie Henry, and it will just result in one. It's not going to let Melanie Henry clear her front foot and hit through the line of the ball, keeping her on the back foot. Again, we mentioned the progression of these cricketers and for these experienced campaigners like Suhani Tadani. As you see that one, again, pull the length back, not allowing that front foot to just clear and drive through the line. Seeing the progression, seeing the adaptability just shows you how good these cricketers already are at such a young age and where they can go. That one just staying low on Adya Rawat, unable to score. Melanie Henry asking not a wide, but she was halfway down the track as well, looking to run. But with how close Sindhu Shiharsha is up to the stumps, no opportunity to just run one off a miss. Gets bad on ball, and they're going to run it. Direct hit would have been it for Adya Rawat. Quite nearly for Anika Colin standing there at short mid-wicket. But now Melanie Henry, she'll get 2 deliveries here for Suhani Tadani. We mentioned wanting to be up to 90. It's a tall task at this point. Sitting well outside of her crease. That one staying incredibly low. Looked like it jagged in on Melanie as well, but really didn't lift at all. You can see how quickly she cleared the front foot, looking to heave it over cow corner. This time, bat on ball, in the air, in the gap. Will just be one, though. She'll retain strike for the final over. But just 3 runs coming from the 19th. A good one for Suhani Thadani to close off of. It's 75 for 5. And it'll be Asani Vagela to close things off here in this 2023 USA Cricket Women's Nationals. Again, this first innings would not have gone the way the East would have thought. Winning the toss, choosing to bat first. I think they were thinking they can bat without the pressure of runs on the board. Set a total and also take advantage of a wicket that when they get into bowl will have its 4th inning being played on it, but haven't got the runs on the board at the moment. It's taken into leg side, fielder in place, and we'll just keep it to 1. Probably the exact result you would have wanted if you're the West. Get Melanie Henry off strike. And now it goes on Adya Rawat. What can she do with bat in hand? We've seen her ability to run and her willingness to run the risky 1s and 2s. Gets bat on ball. It's through the offside. It's a brilliant shot. It wasn't a bad ball, but just lifted it over the top of the offside, and she'll fetch 4 runs for it. Again, Asani Vagela has not been hit for a boundary. It's been tough to get bat on ball, and with that one, not a lot of room outside the off stump, but got enough on it. Impressive shot that from Adya Rawat in a real pressure situation. Every run matters now, and that's caused Sindhu Sriharsha to take out deep cover and long off, put them in position alongside long on in a cow corner. This one going down the leg side is going to be wide, and a couple of runs. It will just be 1 to bring back Melanie Henry. That's not what you're going to want to do if you are the West. We saw yesterday for the East, they had bowled exceptionally well. And then that final over took some wickets, but had a lot of extras. And just allowed Southeast Central to get into the triple digits. And the 3-figure mark, we heard John Aaron talk about it yesterday, is something to watch for just psychologically, knowing you have to get above 100 to win this game. It just puts something on your mind when you're chasing. So you're going to want to find the right line here as Asani hits the legs of Melanie Henry, who's going to be disappointed. Thought she had this one well over square leg. There is no fielder in the deep in that area. So any bit of bat on it would have resulted in a boundary, but unable to get any bat on ball. A valuable dot ball there for the West. Again, they'll be thrilled to hold the East under 90 with the batting lineup that they have that features Sindhu Sriharsha, Gargi Boglet. As this one's hit up into the air, fielder there, and taken. Made it look really effortless out there at long on. Just a couple of steps in. And she's having herself a day with the ball, was Suhani Thadani. Takes that catch out in the deep. Also nonchalantly tosses it back in to dismiss Melanie Henry. And so not only is that a wicket, it's a valuable dot ball. Take a look at this. Just didn't get the connection on it. Wide outside the off stump, looking to drag it into the leg side. It's smart bowling that from Asani Vagela. Keep it out of the arc. And Suhani Thadani took care of the rest. We've seen some big strikes from Melanie Henry. That one not to beat. And we'll bring out another big striker of the cricket ball. Nico Wallerson. Dismissed early in yesterday's match, unable to show off her prowess. But is now going to have an opportunity with the bat in hand. Is played internationally for the United States. Also went back in Guyana. We'll have 2 deliveries from Asani Vegela. Gets bat on ball through covers. They'll get 1. Rawat wants 2. They'll come back for the second. Throw goes to Sindhu Harsha, and Onika Wallerson's going to have to go. She accepted the second, and you can see her just maybe saying, why are we running that second? Could have easily sent Rawat back, but got to wonder what the conversation was before that ball. Was it to always run 2? It looked like Rawat was always looking for it. But Wallerson just not on the same page. Again, if you just take a look at this, the ball's been collected now, and Rawat's off. Onika Wallerson just never looked to be in a hurry for that second run. Again, the ball collected there, and Rawat was ready to go straight away. Wallerson just not as reactive to the call and maybe felt that she was going to get out. That wasn't really an opportunity. Could have easily just sent Rawat back. Probably would have made it back. But nevertheless, the 7th wicket falls for the East. And this final delivery will be faced by a brand new bat. That'll be Aparna Guramurthy, who was behind the stumps yesterday, keeping wicket. She'll have 1 ball to play. And the interregionals had a high score of 49. We'll want the maximum amount of runs possible here to give her side any opportunity. Don't want to be under 85. And just tuck it inside the circle. They'll go ahead and get 1 to get to 84. It's been a clinical innings for the West with the ball in hand. Not much you can fault them. The East had a couple of blows, but they've just really been kept in their shell, unable to break out. And at the end of the 20 overs, they settle with 84 runs for the loss of 7 wickets. And the West, with all that batting prowess with the win yesterday, have an opportunity to give themselves a commanding 2 wins that you'd almost have to imagine would lock them into Friday's final. They'll need 85 runs when we come back. Don't go anywhere. We appreciate you for joining us in this first innings, and we can't wait to have the second innings. Again, it'll happen in just a little bit here. The West, they'll need 85 runs from their 20 overs. Well, welcome back to Moosa Stadium here in Pearland, Texas. You can see 93 degrees, might as well be 94 with 10.5 mile per hour winds. And the West, they'll feel very good about what they've done in that first innings. They'll just need 85 runs from their 20 overs, but the East has shown an ability with the ball and had some really good performances yesterday. But also don't forget about what the West did with the bat yesterday. That's something to keep an eye on, just how good they were and how deep this batting lineup is. And starting off will be Chetna Prasad with bat in hand alongside Gargi Boglit. This will be a California start for the West. Both of these playing for the USA women's side. And for the East with the ball in hand, it'll be Isabel Slade-Jones, who was quite terrific yesterday. One of the more impressive performances I saw yesterday. About how consistent she was early was incredible, especially with a little bit of away movement. Just 13 years of age as well. You know, we talk about cricket running in the family. Isabel has a brother who bowls some spin. She's the pacer of the bunch. And she's shown off her exploits already in day one. And starting off well here. A little bit of width on offer. You know, and at such a young age, it's incredible to think about how she's thinking about variation with her bowling, trying to bowl different deliveries. You don't hear a lot about variation until you develop a stock ball, and she's done just that. She's got the ball moving slightly away on a length, down to a tee. Like most of the cricketers here, when asked about meeting a former or current international player, Elise Perry always coming up, especially with Izzy Slade-Jones. That's who she'd want to meet, and she started off really well on that channel. We mentioned how Asani Vagela started really well on that channel and caused some problems with both edges of the bat. Right now, that's what Slade-Jones is doing to Chetna Prasad, and that'll give Slade-Jones some real confidence. Again, we mentioned Chetna Prasad playing with the national team. Again, unable to find runs, and a tricky wicket this is here at Moosa Stadium. Not going to see runs fly off the bat. And if the East can get some quiet overs early on, get that required run rate to jump up above 5, above 6, into 8 and 9s, they're well within this thing. Look at that delivery to finish off the first over. That movement away, beating the outside edge. It's a maiden to start things off for Isabel Slade-Jones. The first over goes without score. Well, it's the same plan for the East today. We saw them yesterday from the pavilion end. Start with Izzy Slade-Jones. And from the Balkes field end of the ground, start with Melanie Henry. Will be the same. Spin from that end, pace from the other. Again, the wind really picking up. We mentioned that the gusts were 10.5. Well, they've picked up since then. It's a crosswind that blows, so wind can change direction. You can't really tell the wind's blowing, and then you look over at the trees from the commentary box, and you're like, yep. It's definitely gusting around out there, and I want to see how it affects the ball as the bowlers elect to give flight. We'll get to see our first look at Gargi Boglip, who's on strike. The left-hander didn't participate in last year's Nationals, coming off a finger injury, but very talented individual nonetheless is Gargi Boglip. Just seeing the ball off. You see the ball already staying low, something it was pretty consistently doing in the first innings. Gargi, another one of these players who's played for the national side, gets off the mark there with 1 through third man. Wasn't quite where she was looking to play it. Just jams it out. Left-right combination will keep the fielders moving around. We'll also have to change up the line, and that's the key, I think, when you have a left-right combination is the benefit of that is that the fielders have to keep moving. The bowlers have to keep thinking and readjusting. And so if you can get singles going, you can get some freebies in the form of extras. If you take singles in regular intervals, this one dug in shorter, hit back at Gargi Boglip, but no run on offer there. Mid-on as well to clean that up. Jethna Prasad still yet to move the scores and get her account going. Getting exactly the start that East would have wanted. And Jethna Prasad struggling to find any real gap here. The field strangled in close and tight. Have to take wickets though, will the East. Short again, in the air, falls safely in that cover region. We'll get 1 for it. Nearly the wicket that the East would have been looking for. 2 overs gone. It's 2 without loss. Well, you're not going to see many bowlers not get another over after bowling a maiden, and as well as Izzy Slade-Jones has bowled. Won't get her taken off anytime soon. Again, still can't find runs as Jethna Prasad. She opened her accounts with that last single, but she's going to need to do a lot more than that as the required run rate does start to push up. Again, not a huge total on the board, so the West can take their time and see themselves in. But don't want to leave too much for that middle order. This time pushed into the onside, mid-on, unable to fire it in. So it'll be the first run given up by Slade-Jones, but the consistency to the right-hander's been there, and it's something to highlight. Now we'll see how she adjusts to the left-hander. And I like this as well, staying over the wicket as a right-hander who brings it back into the lefty. Just creating that angle that is always tough. Going to have to worry about the pads and how the ball is going to swing back in. Just that awkward angle. Think about what left-handers do to the righties. Oftentimes right-handers forgo that to go around. But Izzy Slade-Jones starts well. Experience there. Even at this young age, you can see her ability to adjust to the situation and understanding the line and lengths. in which she wants to bowl. We'll see what she has in store for Gargi Bogle for the rest of the over. Again, swinging back full. A misfield, though, is going to at least be one. Really should have been kept to none. Unfortunate there for Slade Jones, but again, really sharp bowling for the East. You can't afford many of those, though. Just getting through Brooke Shears there. And mid-off. But I mean, Slade Jones will have another crack at Chetna Prasad. And you can see the movement in the air, consistently moving away from the right-hander. That time nearly hitting the Yorker. Okay, just giving up 2 runs, 1 off the misfield, and it's a good start here for the East. Slade Jones had to wait for a second spell to get her first wicket yesterday. Can she pick up one here? Gets one. Half-hearted appeal, maybe off the legs. I think there was bat involved in it. Umpire agrees. 3 overs gone. It's 4 without loss. Well, Melanie Henry will continue, and they've had some quiet overs to start things off. It's the start they would have wanted, the East. Not a huge total on the board, but if they can get those quiet overs early, maybe a wicket or 2, put some pressure on the middle order. This one, it's a low full toss that's gone through. They'll pick up one there. Aparna Gurumurthy behind the stumps again today. Gargi Bogle is also going to feel that she's missed out on a wide, low full toss, and they'll take the single, but probably should have been plenty more. On the leg, stayed low and gets through. Chetna Prasad. Melanie Henry, you can see the celebration there. Just angled it in much quicker through the air that time. And just trying to take it into the leg side with Chetna Prasad. Played all around it. Stayed a touch low as well. And the first wicket goes. A dream start for the East. Getting an early wicket. Keeping the runs to a minimum. We'll take another look at this. Again, just take a look. Quicker through the air. Flat. Stayed that touch bit low. Did dart in a bit as well. Just a clear gap between bat and pad. Took advantage of it. But you're going to talk about the height, or the lack of height, off the bounce there. That dismisses Chetna Prasad. And again, hadn't really got any flow going. So to see her go, she's going to be disappointed with that. Just would have liked to spend some time and have an opportunity to be in the middle. But a very experienced campaigner comes out in Sindhu Harsha, the captain. We've mentioned already captains, the USA side, the USA women's side, and originally from Bangalore, but now living out on the West Coast. Played India under 21, again the national side. And don't forget about the Warriors women in fair break, who are the champions in the most recent edition that was held in Hong Kong. So plenty of experience all around the world. We'll have a captain's battle between Melanie and Sindhu. And a big shout from Melanie to start things off. Again, just reaching, again staying a touch low. It's been hard to cut and play those sweep shots and play those heaves into the leg side. It's all been about the straight bat. Like that there from Sindhu Harsha. And even with the low score, you're going to wonder, how difficult is a chase like this going to be with the ball doing what it's doing? You can see how low Sindhushi Harsha is staying, and I think a lot of these players are going to have to go against the instinct of going on the back foot in favor of just staying lower, staying forward, with the ball not driving up as much as one may expect. And again, on stumps, a really good over for Melanie Henry. Just the one by in it. It's 4 overs gone. It's 5 for 1. Well, we mentioned how the East had a plan that they stuck to from yesterday. A little bit of a change of plans here. We saw all the spin happen from the Bulkies field end of the ground. Melanie Henry has elected to bring on Aditi Chudasama from the pavilion end, bringing spin from both ends. And Aditi Chudasama was very good with the ball yesterday. Hasn't been able to show off the talent with the bat quite yet, but we talk about what she does with the ball as an off spinner. Was very, very good yesterday. Going to start off away from Gargi Bogle, and again, she's someone who likes to get through her overs quickly, doesn't want to give the batter real time to assess and adjust. Just trying to get through her 6 balls. There's a little bit of a misfield there, going to lead to 1. But again, we mentioned for the Chudasama, always thinking and really has a plan. Doesn't shy away from it. Doesn't look to turn if runs are scoring. Is just going to stick to her guns and dare the batters to do something different. I think the captain has turned to Aditi to just keep choking things down, maybe get a wicket as well, but just to keep the runs to a minimum as the required run rate. Is jumping over 5. We see a sweep shot from Sindhushi Harsha, a bit bold, a bit brave. They'll pick up 2 for it. Again, we mentioned those cross-batted shots have been the results of most of the wickets, and with the way the ball has stayed low, unless you're picking up the ball right off the ground, don't want to get in too much of a habit of sweeping or going across the line. Sindhushi Harsha sends back Aditi Chudasama. Again, would have seen a bit of Aditi. This one left alone by Harsha. Again, not a hurry to score. Plenty of time to score. But don't want to let that required run rate tickle up. Don't want to waste too many deliveries. We, again, have already seen that it's hard to score quickly. Oftentimes you need 10 or so balls to get going, as this one's pulled into the leg side, but just short mid-wicket. And you see the frustration from Harsha, feeling like she should have found that gap. 5 overs gone. It's 8 for 1. And Melanie Henry, she's going to go 3 on the trot. After taking a wicket, she's felt like she's understood how the surface is going to play. It's going to be bowling to Gargi Boglet. Pushes one down the ground. And they'll find one out to long off. And I think Melanie Henry's going to enjoy bowling to Sindhu Shiharsha. I think she wanted the right-hander on strike. With the way she's angling the ball in, darting it onto stumps. I think she'd be okay with getting hit for a boundary as long as Shiharsha's going across the line, opening up her stumps. Get angled in and just looking to run it through backward point. Again, there's no real room to cut. The ball doesn't rise. It feels like quite enough. But you get on the back foot and cut, so it's going to be about those back foot punches. There's that slog across the line. Gargi Boglet very present. Throw comes to the bowler's end. Direct hit, but I think Shiharsha's well in. It's a good throw out there in the deep, it looks like, from Lekha Shetty. From behind the keeper, going to the bowler's end. Gets a direct hit, but Shiharsha quick enough. Very smart, though, there from Gargi Boglet, who saw the bye and looked to scamper through, and Shiharsha was late on the reaction. It was more so just contemplating the shot selection, thinking about how that ball wasn't rising. And like I mentioned, I think Melanie Henry, because of Shiharsha's wanting and desire to sweep, like bowling to her. If she can get one on stumps, one can just stay low. And that one's staying low. Shiharsha wanted to go. Has to go back quick. Throw never got there. Took a weird bounce right in front of the stumps, but you see the dive out there. And again, these clear calls have to be made. Gargi was never moved to take that single. Don't want to lose too many more wickets here. Will the West. That one's some width given, driven down the ground. Again, mid-off back in the deep. Bowling back into the right hand, and now is Melanie Henry. And again, it's going to want to be on that off stump and just almost dare Sindhu Shiharsha to sweep with no fielders out on square leg. Dare her to attack the leg side. Try to find those gaps. This time straight bat, but nowhere to go on the offside. That'll close out the power play. A good one for the East. It's 11 for 1. Well, Aditi Chudasama will continue here in this 2023 USA Cricket Women's Nationals as Gargi Boglet just gets her shoe tied. And for those of you joining us, make sure you tune in for the second match here at Musa Stadium. So we're going to get 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific. Again, straight action here, brought to you by our broadcast partner, Smart Choice. For Aditi Chudasama, sent fielders out into the deep cover. I'm just going to mention long off. It is Gargi Boglet on strike, so it was mid-wicket, long on, long off. And for Sindhu Shiharsha, brings in that, what was a deep mid-wicket fielder, into that cover area. Brings square leg back, which makes sense for the amount of sweeps we've seen from Sindhu Shiharsha and the wanting to do so. But for the East, I think it's about wickets more so than consolidating runs. I would almost be willing to let her hit over there because of the risk involved. This one played through the offside. Was it taken? I think it was. Melanie Henry throwing it straight up in the air. Just looking to drive it through the offside. Went aerial. And Melanie Henry, she's so active and so good at short cover. Takes a ripper. And the second wicket falls. It's the captain. Can take a look at this. Just looking to push it into the offside. Gets to a right. Moves well. Good hands from Melanie Henry. And Aditi Chudasama gets her first wicket. The second falls for the West. Again, we were talking about how the West would have been happy just chasing the 85 runs, but already lost 2 wickets, including the captain. Bowling has been tight. Bowling's been good. Melanie Henry, every move she's made has worked. And now the West are going to need something special from either Sani Vagela, the new bat, or Gargi Boglip. Again, we saw Vagela's poise with the ball was really good there. Now he's going to have to do it with the bat. Coming in at the number 4 spot for her side. And again, for the West, we already talked about it, how it's about these singles here. The East did a good job early of finding singles, then fell into a rut, and that's what's caused the low score. They were to start getting singles, and wickets started to fall at consistent intervals, and that just basically stemmed the flow of runs. With Long on and Cow Corner out, how can Asani Vagela attack Chudasama? Looks to cut, unable to do so. Again, Chudasama's been so smart with the way she's bowled. Isn't extracting an egregious amount of turn. Just keeping it in good areas. That one beating the outside edge of Vagela. Again, a dream start here. We talked about how in the second innings yesterday, the East had 23 runs after 10. That's what the West is looking at. The moment this one, bat gets on ball, straight to mid-off. They'll get that single to bring Gargi Bogli on to strike. But again, we mentioned a dream start for the East here. Just 13 runs on the board with the ball to go in the 7th over. Seeing the backs of not just 2 bats, but the captain and 2 individuals who have played for the national side. Especially with the batting depth that we've talked about with this side of the West, to get inroads early is crucial. Flighted up, Gargi Boglic goes to the offside. It's just going to be 1 out to long off, and a good over for Aditi Chudasama, and the East comes to a close. 7 overs gone. It's 14 for 2. So the new bowler for the East is going to be Adi Rawat, who we got to see with the bat earlier today, and she showed off her ability to run and actually played a really impressive stroke over the offside that went for 4. Now she'll have the ball in hand in a critical stage in the game. This one in the air, but it's in the gap in the offside. Squeeze it through backwards point. They're looking for 2. Gargi Bogle wants it. And they'll get it. Throw really went in the middle of the wicket. But that width on offer, and Bogle has already shown today that she's willing to throw her hands and push the ball into the gaps there. So Adi Arawat is going to want to be a little bit straighter. Melanie Henry filling that gap there, backward point now. Bogle been in the middle for the entirety of the innings. Just faced 14 deliveries. This one much straighter on the legs. And again, that's good work from Rawat adjusting the line. I think that's a key thing, especially in the modern day game. We talk about what white ball cricket is. It's a game about adjustments. It's a game of, all right, one ball, figured out how to bowl the next one. This time, though, straying too far down the leg side, well wide. But if you get hit on one ball, it's about, okay, how do I adjust my line to not get hit? Was it just a really great shot? Or was there something off with the plans and where that ball was? And how can I throw in a variation to change things up? I think it's all about the little chess moves when we talk about the shorter formats of the game. This one in the air and clears the offside. It's going to be a 4 there for Gargi Bogle, a much-needed one for the West. And a confident stroke that was over covers. Again, getting that much width. That's the key. More or less the line, but it's the length for me. Excuse me, the line, more so less the length. With it being that wide, keeping it pitched up, it's just easy pickings for a batter of Bogle's caliber. And that's prompted deep cover to go back in an extra cover fashion. That one just beats the outside edge. Again, you can see how much closer that was to stumps, and an aggressive practice leave there from Bogle. But again, it's that type of delivery and that type of adjustment from Adi Arawat. That's where you're going to want to operate. It's a good length as well. Not going to allow a flourishing drive, width on offer again, but just didn't bounce. Again, that consistently lower bounce we've seen at Musa Stadium. Something to watch for, not just in this innings, but again, make sure you join us for the second match that'll be played here, 2 p.m. Central. Width on offer again, unable to get onto it. Gargi Bogle is going to feel like she's missed out on those last two, but got that one boundary in the over, so the West will take this over amongst the rest. 8 overs gone. It's 21 for 2. Well, we saw 3 consecutive overs for Melanie Henry, the off-spinner, the captain. Well, she's given her fellow off-spinner, Aditi Chudasama, the same treatment. 3 consecutive overs. Got the wicket of Sindhu Harsha and the previous one. It's looking to make inroads again. Isan Vegela just pushing it back to Chudasama. Again, the key here is going to be about getting those singles pretty consistently. So it's going to bring the crowd run rate down. It's still under 6 at the moment. This one beats Vegela, who just looked to hang on the back foot and cut. Again, very hard to cut, to sweep, to pull off of this surface. We found more value for the shots, playing with a straight bat and just angling it into different areas. It's a ground that shows off wrist work, if you will. Opening the face of the bat, closing it late, playing with soft hands. It shows off batters who are able to play freely with their hands, as this one's pushed again, really to no avail. And the length that Jasma's bowling is just an awkward one because you want to hang back, but with the consistently lower bounce, it just drags you maybe a little bit forward. You're in two minds. You can't cut as deep cover goes out. That one much fuller, and again, you can see why Chudasma's brought cover out. It's been a good over. No runs from it yet. And that one will get through the offside. They'll get one to close out the ninth over. Just one run coming from it. It's 9 overs gone. It's 22 for 2. So we'll come back here with Adi Rawat from the Balkis field end of the ground. Sani Vegela on strike. Hasn't really found flow yet. Start with the wide that's beat the wicketkeeper. It's going to run down for at least one. Sani Vegela wants to come back for two. Chance of a run out. Was it there? Leg umpire not moved. Given wide, they'll pick up 2 runs off the byes as well. And it's good running that from Asani Vegela to make herself back into the crease. Again, the throw came in nicely. But Vegela able to drag the bat through. We saw all the women here working with Bert Cockley in a fitness session before the start of the first match. And one of the things was turning back and running. Talking about the correct ways to do that was Bert Cockley. How to create the most amount of momentum to push yourself back where the shin position should be. It's great to see that kind of knowledge and experience being shared to all these individuals. This one's pushed down the ground for 1 by Vegela. It's also good to see all the women here using that knowledge that they've learned and the skills he's showing off to make themselves better cricketers. Again, that's what it's all about here at the Women's Nationals. It's an opportunity for all of these women, whether they're selected or not, to continue to improve and hone in on their skills with outside edge. Could run to the boundary. Really well done in the field, but I think it is going to be 4. I think she stepped over the line. Yeah, it is 4. Good effort. But again, we've talked about it from Adi Rawat. When she's just gone that extra bit wide, it's caused her to leak some runs. It's going to want to be much straighter. I think would even consider going from over the wicket, being on stumps there, away from the outstretched arms of Bogle. Full wide, and this time it is a wide. Again, I think if you're Adi Rawat, it's not a bad idea to go over the wicket. Again, with shorter, it's in the air, over the offside. We'll just get a single of that with Gargi Bogle. And that one will also be a wide there from Adi Arawat, and for the West, they'll enjoy these extra bit of runs here. And Asani Vagela, who hasn't found herself quite yet in this innings, is going to enjoy taking some of these extra runs and the pressure off. This time, big shot for Rawat, probably going down the leg side, but it's a good comeback there. Getting hit for a boundary and a couple of runs. Come back on a stump. She'll have 1 ball left in this 10th over. It's a pretty evenly staged game at the moment. Just 33 runs on the board. So the East will be happy what they've done in this first half of the second innings. And that one, well worked from Asani Vagela. Will pick up 1. And that'll close out the 10th over. And at the halfway stage of the second innings, it's 34 for 2. Well, as we have a little bit of a break in this 10th over, I'd like to welcome in the coach of the East team, as well as someone who's coached the national championships for the past 3 years with both senior and under-19 teams, and a part of the initial core coaching group at the domestic level for USA Cricket. Chintan Nailak, welcome into the booth with me. Thank you so much. Enjoy the AC in here. I know it's sweltering out there, but you got to be pretty happy with the way your team has fought back in these first 10 overs.
Yeah, thanks, Aman. Again, thanks for having me. Yeah, I agree. I think we had a pretty good start in trying to defend a low score. I know this pitch is not easy to bat on, as you saw. Some of the top players struggle to score as well. But now we have to see. I think the second part of the inning is going to be the key, and this is where the team East needs to kind of stick to the plan, bowl in the right areas, line and length, and because 85 is still a pretty low score. So, but I think they can defend it if they give everything and stick into the plan.
Yeah, and we have a lot of experience on your side. Think about the Disha Dingras, the Dijudasmas, Melanie Henry, Onika Wallerson, and then you have some new talent, Lekha Shetty, who's going to pick up the ball here. What's it like having those experienced players to help you kind of mold some of the newer players coming into the program?
Yeah, that's what I think I like about this kind of national championship format that we're doing this year, because now we haven't, rather than having 2 teams, East versus West, which is what we did last 2 years, this year, we decided to have 4 teams. That gives more, especially the new players that are coming out at the grassroots level, to play shoulder to shoulder with the other national players. This gives them the opportunity to see where they stand, how much more work they need to do, and then working with players like Wallo, Onika, and Mel, who played international and been playing international cricket for a long time. They both were the former players for the Guyana as well. So having those players around you in the dugout, kind of sharing their knowledge helps a lot.
Yeah, and also, you mentioned having 4 teams this year rather than 2. So this one pushed into the offside. You mentioned how that allows more of these girls to get noticed and involved. What do you think that means for the future of both USA women's cricket and just cricket in the USA in general, to have an expansion of teams? It feels like that means there's more people playing cricket in the country.
Yeah, I think it means a lot. I mean, that this is where these players, when they go back to their own regions, they can kind of play more competitive, and also they have some motivation to play harder and work hard on their skill and the fitness. So to me, I think this is great. I mean, I've seen the last 3 years a big improvement in the participation. Although it was pretty close to the off stump, another underage. So yeah, I think that part is going to be the key, is to expanding their program at the domestic level, getting more domestic players involved, and kind of making sure that they play more competitive in a better field, better organized tournament like this. Definitely helps them improve their game.
Yeah, and you talk about all the new faces that we get to see and them starting to build. Leka Shetty, we saw just these last two balls really well done, keeping it close to that off stump. And what kind of conversations have you had with your team? Because you've mentioned this is not an easy wicket to bat on, and with the low score on the board, what was the message to your side going into the innings break as we see one hit up into the air that'll result in one? What was the message of how to defend this low total?
Yeah, I think there are twofold. So number one is a lot of our players, they play in their region or local tournaments on AstroTurf, where they don't need to use their feet much. Most of the players are used to playing out of the crease line. And so their biggest challenge coming in here was to improve their footwork and take the risk as well, because there's going to be a risk, especially playing in a T20 format. And I think that's something I feel like that we need to improve on, especially at the national level. I mean, the players who've been playing as part of the national team, especially for them, I had a strong message in the dugout as well, that you need to play with the T20 mindset, which is you need to take a risk. And as you see, the way Gargi's been playing, she's been hitting over 30 yards. She's not afraid to take the risk. I think that the kind of mindset the more and more players need. That when they're switching between T40, T30, and T20 format. So I mean, I think most of the players don't understand the importance of keeping that aggression in the power play. A lot of them, as you see, I mean, I think it happened on both teams. I think the first team had 6 overs, 18 runs. Second team had around 16 runs in 6 overs. So to me, that means that they are not ready to play the power play. They don't know how to play in the power play. So yeah, the message has been to just kind of take the risk. You have to take the risk in T20. This format demands it. I think our inning problem was that we had 10 wickets in the hand, and we only scored 25, 26 in first 10 overs. So to me, that is unacceptable, and I think that's something I'll keep pushing in whatever time I got with these players.
Yeah, and so you mentioned keep pushing and keep giving these players experience and an opportunity to learn the T20 game. How helpful is having players like a Melanie Henry and Onika Wallerson who have played international cricket for such a long time, and helping you? There's only one of you, but having two of those people out on the field to be able to deliver those kinds of messages.
It's a big help. I mean, you saw Mel played both games yesterday and today also, and she showed to all our teammates that this is how you play T20. You gotta hit boundaries. You have to take a risk. Don't be afraid to get out. But you can afford to have a dot ball. I think to me, it's like having a dot ball in T20 is like a crime. So to be honest, I think they need to just take. If you can't hit a boundary, you gotta look for a run at least. Now see, there's another mix up here. So yeah, I think that's been having both Wallo and Mel in the dugout with these girls. Definitely, it's gonna help them a lot.
Yeah, and we've seen Brooke Shears come on to bowl here, the off spinner, and she'll have her work cut out for her. Again, they're going to want to take some wickets here as Sonia Vagela and Gargi Bogle have started to find a rhythm, but you mentioned that mix up there. the resulting as we see another wide. Again, you've been around, coaching for the USA for a long time. You've been around this women's setup for a long time. What have you seen? What have you seen from this year that really gives you hope for the future of what this can end up being?
Yeah, to me, I think the most promising thing I've seen is the participation at the domestic level. A lot of and also improvement. It's still is not to the point where I expect it to be, but I think it's improving. We see number one is a lot more improvement in the fielding today. I mean, you've seen across all the games played in last 2 days. There's a big improvement for those young players coming in from domestic level. Their fielding is much better. Their catching is much better. That was a good try there from Mel. So to me, that's the biggest positive point. Now, the other part in terms of batting on a tough wicket like this, bowling with more discipline, I think that's something that's going to evolve over the period of time.
Yeah, and I think, you've seen a lot of good discipline as well, at least an ability to adjust from different bowlers, of understanding when to bowl a little bit wider, when to bowl a little bit straighter. We've seen that already, and I think because of having those experienced players alongside a lot of the youngsters, it has led to a boost in confidence and just an ability to do that. And with 2 balls left here, to see people like Brooke Shears, come along and play in their first nationals and have the confidence to really express themselves. I see that's a very good ball there from Brooke Shears. Really terrific. From the reaction there, was there a little bit on it.
Might be a drop. That was a nick there.
And you can see the disappointment on the face of Aparna Gunamurthy behind the stumps, and a little high five from Brooke Shears. Also love to see this. I think it feels like a family from the outside looking in this national championship. What's that like as the head coach? Does it feel like there's one big family when you talk about teams?
Yeah, definitely. There's good team chemistry in the dugout. I think my message to them is just kind of back each other, rain or shine. If somebody drops a catch, just don't talk anything negative, but just kind of keep encouraging them, because there might be another wicket next ball. So especially, when a keeper drops a catch, you don't want that thing to be stuck around in her head for the next ball. You're gonna just move on. There was a previous ball, next ball, just have a better focus. So on this pitch, I know it's not easy for wicket keepers to keep as well, but I think there are a lot of things for these keepers to learn, trying to stay low, a little bit more elbow kind of position to have that cushion in your keeping. So I think that's another good learning experience for these players.
And that'll close out the 12th over. It's 44 for 2, and we'll bid farewell to Chitan Nailak. Thank you so much for joining us in here, and enjoy the rest of the game, and good luck to your team.
Thanks for having me.
I think. Awesome. So as we enter the 13th over, we'll have a new member in the commentary box, the captain of the West, the captain of the U.S. national side, Sindhu Sriharsha, joins me in here. Sindhu, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day. You have 2 matches in, so I'm sure you're enjoying the AC, but also ready to get back out in the dugout with your side, as they need 41 from the last 8 as Lekha Shetty comes back into bowl. The wicket seems to be one that's a little bit tougher to score quickly on. Can you give us some insight on what it's like out there in the middle?
Yeah, definitely. Like you mentioned, it's definitely not a wicket for stroke making. It's keeping low. If the ball is on the wicket, it's on the 3 of the wickets. It just kind of skids in. It's also a good challenge for the batters to try and work out how you can get runs on this wicket. It's definitely not easy when you just walk in, but once you settle in, that's when you got to make the most of it. Make sure that one of the batters who's batting from the beginning just kind of carries us throughout the innings.
Yeah, and it looked like when you were keeping wicket and in the field, y'all had a real sense of a plan out there. And where did that stem from? That you didn't really try too many things. The field kind of was the same throughout. You knew where you wanted to keep your players. And is that just having worked with a lot of these people before? Where does that come from? Just that sense of knowing?
Well, it's also a couple of things. First of all, I've played with this West team for the past 7-8 years now, so I've known all of these players and I know what their strengths and weaknesses are. So it kind of helps out that way as well. And as a team, we've always talked about keeping the discipline and bowling in one side of the wicket. It's also easier to have a feel when you're bowling one side of the wicket, and you can't really set a feel for a bad ball. So that's something that I've always told the team, that it's a bad ball, put it away, and that's what batters are there for, to get runs out of the bad balls. But I'll give them all of the cushion and whatever they need protection for the good ball. So I'm backing my players and letting them know that if there is a good ball, you have the protection. So you just have to keep bowling those stock balls and back yourself in bowling those stock balls. One as that, and also knowing the ground and also knowing the pitch, and it's harder for anybody to get runs in front of the wicket. So I was just trying to protect those and make sure that we restrict them as much as possible. It's turning out to be a very interesting game. I think we're making it interesting for the viewers who are actually watching back home or anywhere there. So I think we'll definitely, it is going to go down the wire.
Well, we're excited to see an exciting match. But you mentioned having played with the West Side for 7 or 8 years, and last year the national championships 2 teams. This year it's 4 teams. Mm-hmm. What do you think the expansion of the nationals, and just how do you think the field has kind of improved and grown, and what do you think that means for the future of USA and women's cricket?
Yeah, it definitely talks about how we've come from the first time we played the nationals to today, having 4 teams in the national championships. Definitely shows where we are as a team. All of us have grown in all zones. It definitely welcome this change. We did mention, even when we were here for regionals and nationals last year, we felt like all 4 teams were here. Why can't we play all of them together? So I think that's kind of a welcome change. We definitely want to play each other as often as possible, and see others. Also, it's a challenge when you're playing different oppositions in a given 3 days. It's not that you're getting used to the same oppositions, come back and you go back home and you strategize for a new team. So that's a learning for every team as well. So because it's not the same bowler you're going to be facing when you come back, it's not the same batter you're bowling to. So it's going to definitely challenge all of us. So I definitely welcome this change.
Well, speaking about changes, we see a boundary be hit there by Gargi Bogle going over covers to close out the 13th over, brings up the 50. And you also mentioned, this chase now. It becomes a little bit interesting, 34 from the last 7. It still feels like it's within your hands with the wickets. What do you think is the key now for these two who have been in the middle for quite a bit? What would be the message you would be sending to your team at the moment?
I would definitely be saying that one of them have to bat through. They've now stuck on the wicket, done all the hard work. Anybody walking in now will have to do the extra work to try and understand the pitch and where to get the runs in. So I would say back yourself. You've been there for that much more longer. And something we also sent word is some of the main bowlers have already bowled 3 overs. So you are going to get the others. They will have to use their other 5th and the 6th bowlers, at some point. So make the best out of it and back yourself. And I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, either Gargi or Isani just kind of, gets us through the game.
Yeah, and we'll see Brooke Shears come back with ball in hand. You mentioned a lot of, the main bowlers, Melanie Henry, Aditi Jasma, 3 overs have already been bowled. So they've turned to the rest of that bowling card as we see this first delivery from Shears, and Asani takes it away. But the message is clear. One of them needs to bat through. But you speak about having worked with a lot of these players for a long time. There's also some new faces in the nationals, and I'm sure you've seen them locally. What does it mean to you to see a lot of new faces in nationals, whether it's just not just in the West Zone, but people like Brooke Shears in different zones, to see the growth of the game kind of spread throughout the country?
Well, that only means that we're going to have a better last 14 or the 15 that we're going to pick for the under 19s or the national team. We are pushing each other, and that's what you want. With all of the positions have to be questioned, and we welcome this. And like I've been saying, I think we've grown a lot since when we first started off with the intra-regionals in the Bay Area. Now we have 4 teams, and when we started off, we had a Seattle hub which had just 2 players come over 2 years back, and that was called Seattle team, but it was 2 players and all of the Bay Area made up for the team. And this time when we played, we had all 14 from Seattle with a couple of us helping them grow the game. But they had an entire full team. They had a selection of like 25. So just amazing to see the growth. So it's the same way around the country as well. So I think it's definitely growing. That only means the competitive level will start getting better. It also, I feel like, getting in the under-19 nationals is what's made a huge difference, to see all of those 13 years olds and 14 years old coming over here and competing with the seniors. We have a few 13-year-olds in our team as well, and they're ready to even play in the national team. But unfortunately, it's 15 is what. But imagine what they're going to be in another 4 to 5 years. Like, I can't wait to see how USA is going to be in a couple of more years.
Yeah, and you've seen a lot of different cricketers all over the world playing in the fair break competition. Congratulations winning that in Hong Kong. What was that experience like, playing in the fair break? And it feels like it's an area for cricketers to develop and get onto the national stage. What was it like for you to play and obviously win that competition?
Well, it is amazing. I feel like every time I go to fair break, I learn a lot more and I come back, a different cricketer. Definitely working with the best out there. It's a little more easier than over here. Everybody knows what to do, so my captaincy becomes a little more easier. But I've enjoyed myself, and what's really initially it's really intimidating when you have when you have players like Amanda Jane or Phoebe Litchfield or Haley Matthews on your side, and all of them are so good, and they let me take my decisions and back me up. And when I do make a mistake, they're like, it's okay, just own it up. And that's what I've heard. That's what I've learned. Be able to go out there and trust my instincts. It was amazing to go out there and win the tournament. Yeah, we started off in the bottom. When we played in 2021 in Dubai, we were number 6, but to go out there and win the tournament was amazing. Obviously, having Julia Price as the coach has also been helped, having that consistency out there. She's done she's done lovely work with us over here, setting up this domestic pathway starting off in 2019, and that's what we are here today because of that when we started off. And definitely the work she's done is now what we're carrying through. I'm glad to be working with her when I go back to Fairbreak, but it's been amazing. Kudos to USA Cricket as well to keeping up with the domestic pathway. Hasn't been easy, but I'm sure it's only gotten better. I can only say that it's getting better, and I can't mention enough about Julie, the amount of work she does, off the field. People don't get to see it, but she takes a lot for us, and she's a true team player. I always said that she takes everything for the players. Doesn't come in the limelight, and you need a lot more like Julie.
Yeah, no, Julie Abbott makes this whole thing run, and plenty of great volunteers and great people making sure all of this can happen, including our broadcast partner, Smart Choice, presenting you with all these pictures here. And you've got to be happy with what you've seen since you've come in here. Sindhu runs have started to flow. They've gotten singles and doubles, and it's 27 now from 5.4. So
I should probably stay here. I think that's working for the West team, and I think me staying here will probably win us the game. So. Well,
you're more than welcome to stay in here with me.
Keep me here. I think this is working, so I'll just stay here and make sure that we win this game.
Well, now, if a wicket does fall, I don't want you blaming me or anything here.
No. I'll just blame the wicket then. I'll just say the pitch,
Well, speaking of people who've performed really well, Izzy Slade-Jones, another one of those 13-year-olds you're mentioning. She's bowled tremendously well, a maiden to start things off for the East, and whether bowling to the lefty or the righty, she's been very promising. And you mentioned seeing those 13 and 14-year-olds thinking, okay, they can't play for us this year, but the next 4 or 5 years, you're thinking, wow, these kids are going to be amazing.
Yeah, very impressed with Izzy, and this is probably the first time I'm seeing her. I've heard her name a lot, followed her during the intra-regionals and other invitational tournaments that we've played. Watching her for the first time, love it. She has a really clean action. And there it goes.
Well, we might have to bid farewell to Sindhu Sriharsha after that one, because Izzy Slade-Jones, just as Sriharsha is celebrating the action, gets through Gargi Bogle, who had done all the hard yards, and gets through middle stump. And so now another twist in the tail here. The East fighting back, not going down quite yet. Gargi Bogle has played really well, but this delivery, Sindhu just did all the right things.
Yeah, it was like I was just saying, I've been very impressed. It was right on the money. That's what I keep telling all of the bowlers. The middle stump is the same whether it is a right-hand batter or the left-hand batter. Attack the middle stump, and that's exactly what she did. Amazing bowling, but well played to Gargi as well. I think she has put us up in a position that we shouldn't be losing from here. So well played to her. Glad she stuck it out there. It hasn't been easy. So glad that she has put us in a position that we can probably win from here.
Yeah, and we'll bring out the player of the match from yesterday, Chetna Reddy Pagyadiala, coming out to bat, and so you'll feel confident about that, the way she played yesterday. Also a left-arm orthodox. What's impressed you about her as she's kind of come onto the scene?
Oh, well, we've seen Chetna Reddy Pagyadiala for almost 2 years now, and she's been the most consistent in any tournament we play, the intra-regionals and regionals or nationals. This is her first nationals, actually. Last year she couldn't play because she was still 14 years old. Glad that she's now 15 and eligible, but I think she offers in all three departments, and that's what makes her different to so many of the others over here is be it batting, bowling, and she's also a gun fielder on the field, and she's probably the first name you put on the sheet when you want to pick and not want to drop her, because she can offer in all three departments, and she can bat anywhere, bowl anywhere, and field anywhere. So I think she's just kind of like that three-dimensional, that people keep talking about. Just love her that, she can offer everything to the, anything to the team. So I've definitely followed her since she's been around in the system for about 2 to 3 years now. She can only get better from here, and I can't believe she's still 15 years old.
Well, 15 overs are done, 61 runs on the board. Cindy, we'll let you go back and rejoin your team. Thank you so much for joining us here, and good luck for the rest of the tournament and today's game.
Thank you.
We just heard from the national team captain that she feels that the West shouldn't lose it from here. 24 needed from 30 deliveries, and 2 companions that may be young in the age category, but plenty of experience and plenty of talent. As Brooke Shears bowls her third. They'll get a single straight away here to Sania Vaghela. After her initial struggles, Vaghela, she's really found an ability to just get those singles going and was able to facilitate to Gargi Bogle, who was doing the bulk of the scoring. And now Chetna Reddy Pagyadiala. She'll be back in with bat. Getting the player of the match from yesterday, and not a lot of work left to do. We'll see what Brooke Shears can dial up here. I like that from Chetna Reddy. You saw the foot come across the crease, and it felt very much like a T20 move of just, all right, throw it differently. I'm going to move all the way across, then bluffs out of it. But for Brooke Shears, way to stick to her stuff and not overreact to the movement. This one cut away through covers there, and another benefit for the West is having the lefty-righties all the way down the order. Gargi Bogle, we mentioned, Chetna Reddy out there in the middle. So to be able to keep the East having to rotate in really hot conditions. Just had a word with Sindhu about how hot it was, and she said, you're very lucky to be in here. And I said, don't worry, I know it. As this one's cut through the offside, and they'll pick up one through the inner ring. It's a direct hit, but I think Sania Vaghela was well home. And we've seen her in a couple of those close calls, but very quick through the wickets as Vaghela. And this is all that the West require from this stage. Just needing to get the singles on every single delivery. If you're the East now, it's going to be about taking some wickets. They got Gargi Bogle. They need Chitner. They need Asani. Brooke Shears, though, she's going to be decently happy the way she's been bowling in her first nationals. And again, it's very impressive to see how good the talent is amongst people making their debut, if you will, on this stage. How composed everyone is, how quickly they are to understand the plans and what they need to do. The West, they're cruising, though, at this point. 16 overs gone. It's 65 for 3. And you can see here Melanie Henry on the left of your screen just having a conversation with Haditi Chudasama, and I think they're talking about the field settings. And as we see Izzy Slade-Jones backing in with the ball in hand, once again taking her first wicket in her third over. Did so yesterday, doing it once again in today's match. We're now getting another crack at a left-hander. Again, hasn't been phased by the lefties or the righties. Has just stuck to herself and stuck to her guns, and it's worked wonders. Once again, staying close to the stumps and trickled into the leg side for one. And at some point, if you're the East here, you got to think about closing up the field, especially straight with how good Izzy Slade-Jones has been bowling, how consistently she is in front of the wickets, closing up those gaps and making these two go over the top. Well bowled there from Izzy Slade-Jones. It's gone on to Yorker length there. Not much else Asani Vagela could have done with that one. Just 19 runs, however, required to win the match. And the West would almost guarantee themselves into the finals. As this one's cut. And it's cut straight to Melanie Henry. How many times have we seen her been active in that short cover area? Asani Vagela is going to be disappointed with that. Felt like she probably should have been able to get it away, but Melanie Henry's been so good in that area. Just take another look. It's cut, firm, easy catch, a little bit of a yell. Izzy Slade-Jones gives her captain a hug because they know how big that wicket is in this stage of the game. You get both of the set and ready batters out. Now you have two new batters into the middle. Two batters who have to get themselves going rather quickly. Again, not a tall task in the slightest, but never easy. We've heard Sindhu Harsha talk about the wicket. It's not an easy one to get going quickly on. How it's going to be vital for one of those two to bat through. We heard her say it, the captain of the West, but wasn't meant to be, and it'll be Anika Colin joining Chitna Reddy in the middle. Of course, Anika has played for the national side and the under-19 side for the USA. Born in Tracy, California, just 16 years of age. A wicketkeeper in her own right, but with Sindhu Harsha in the team. Wasn't behind the stumps today. So going to have work to do with bat in hand. Starts off with a single through mid-wicket. Got it well enough in the gap. And it's moments like these I think selectors will be eyeing. Pressure moments for both bowler and batter. Especially if you're Anika Colin or Chetna Reddy. You're brand new. You need 18 runs from... It's now 20 deliveries. The equation's getting tight. How do you react to a pressure situation? Bold, Izzy Slade-Jones. She's been working wonders here. Has she put another magical spell in here for the East? You saw the step across from Jitner Reddy, just looking to run it through the offside. Her off stump goes, and Izzy Slade-Jones staying on stumps, saying, "You miss, I hit." Again, there's a reason her name's been heard all over the country. See that little movement there, comes back and just missing it altogether, getting through Jitner Reddy. Looks like might have just stayed a touch lower. And another twist in the tail. Looked at one point the West was going to cruise to this one, but the East has something to say about it. It's 18 from 19 as Giovanna Aris comes into the middle. Another left-handed bat. But still a very, very tall task at hand here for the West. It's anyone's game at the moment. Don't go anywhere. It's coming down to the wire. The East, they've put some fight back into it. This innings looked like it could have been over very quickly, but the start they got it off to thanks to Melanie Henry, Aditi Chudasama, Izzy Slade-Jones, over at her maiden start things off, is now 3 wickets, and she'll be in contention for the player of the match, and she would love to close out her final over with the 4th. And really well played from Giovanna Aris. Not easy to score quickly. The relay takes some time. They'll get back for 2. But really good stuff there from Giovanna to close out the 17th over. It'll be 16 from 18. That's the equation. 69 for 5. Well, the game is just taking a turn, and what we thought could be a cruising finish for the West has now turned into a battle. 16 from 18. It's going to be Brooke Shears to continue. Giovanna Ross will be at the non-striker's end. It'll be Anika Golan on strike. So you have 2 members of the USA Women's Under-19 team. Anika Golan's represented the national side. And Brooke Shears is getting her first look in the Nationals. Will have to find a way to take a wicket. And again, I would just implore the East and Melanie Henry to thinking about bringing those fielders inside the ring. There's one at deep cover, there's one at long off, one at long on, and one at deep mid-wicket. With what the equation is, you got to take a risk. If you're the East, I think that the risk I would take is with these 2 being brand new bats. Bring the fielders in. Let the batters go over the top. If they can clear you over the top, it's been difficult to do that. If they're able to do it, good on them, and then I'd take a fielder back. But until they really do it, I feel very, very comfortable bringing my fielders in at the moment. With these 2 bats having played 3 deliveries combined. See Brooke Shears just trying to fix her hair at the moment. Again, some tension here. 15 from 17. We saw Melanie Henry having a word with Brooke Shears before she went to bowl. Have to imagine Melanie Henry is going to give herself the ball again. Maybe the final over of this match, or the 19th. The penultimate could be a Melanie Henry. This one hits straight back. Shears unable to field it. Gets underneath the leg, and there will be one. That misfield, how costly could that have been? Could have been a dot. Could have brought it 15 to 16. Moves to 14 from 16 now. These two understanding the assignment in the middle. Again, two experienced campaigners have been around the setup. Even though they're both incredibly young, with incredible bright futures ahead of them. This one pushed out wide is hit. Giovanna Arias has to run, and she'll get there in the end. This is good here from the West. Again, some tension they're taking out of it. Finding singles with regular ease. Does Brooke Shears have a magic ball in her? Can she take her first wicket in her fourth over? Feels like it's now or never for the East. Flighted up. It's hit through mid-wicket. It's going to get through the leg side. And it's going to run all the way to the boundary for 4. Gave up a full toss there. Looking to be a touch fuller. Just well too full. And we see the power off the bat of Giovanna Arias. Wasn't going to miss out on that one. We'll find 4. A boundary that'll take so much pressure out of the rest of the way. It's single digits now for the West. Just 9 runs needed. That's a huge wide there from Brooke Shears. Just want to go back to where she was bowling. I think that's Melanie Henry saying, just go back to your basics. You know what to bowl. But how about this stuff from Giovanna Arias coming in and able to score straight away. Looking to take a big swipe at it. Unable to get onto it. But well away from the wickets. Again, it's about playing straight here. So playing off the ground and again that variable bounce, that consistent low bounce it feels. It's made it tough to score. This one in the air. And it's 6. How about this? Giovanna Arias has taken everything away. Given a touch of width, takes it into the leg side. And nothing for long on to do but watch it sail over her head and into the signage at Musa Stadium. How about this shot? Take a look at this. Some width on offer. Takes it into the leg side. A look of disgust from Brooke Shears. And you could already hear the celebrations from the West, even in the comm box. As they close out that 18th over with a 6. Take another look. Again, takes that into the leg side and nothing to be done but to watch it sail into the head and head over to the signage boards. 18 overs gone. It's 83 for 5. Just 2 runs now separating the West from the finish line and certain victory now. Looks like umpire Ivy Mohambir will have a look at the ball and gives it back to Aditi Chudasama, who will be bowling what feels like could be the final over of this match. Again, for those of you joining us, we appreciate it. But make sure not to go anywhere. We have another match beginning at 2 p.m. Central. This one beats the bat of Anika Golan, who's just looking to cut it. Through point again. Very hard to cut on the surface. This time the sweep brought out. It's hit out into the deep. It'll be 1. Scores are level. And Giovanna Arias, whose cameo is just taking all the pressure out of the situation, has an opportunity to finish it with her blow. The field extends, even though there's 1 run left. Keeping mid-wicket out in the deep for that catch, for that possible sweep. Pushes. Not going to beat cover inside the ring. And looks like Aditi Chudasama is testing the patience of Giovanna Arias. Pushes into the leg side, but we'll just find Melanie Henry. And so just having to wait just a little bit longer here. Again, 1 run separating the West from what seems to be almost a certain place in the final. Uses the feet, comes down the track. They'll get their single. And the West, they'll get the win here. You see Indigo Golan, who's looking to maybe run one for the overthrows, but that's going to be the match. The West has done it there. It's been really critical and really clinical as well. The East, it's a good fight back for them. You're not going to want to forget about how good they did to get back into this match. But it was just the composure that the West held on to that allows them to get their 5-wicket win today against the East. The East will have dropped their second game. The West, again, with that second win, have to imagine they'll be here playing at Musa Stadium tomorrow. Really phenomenal stuff. And we'll get the player of the match for you in a little bit. But, again, if we were just to look at that second innings there, Chetna Prasad goes quickly, and because of the brilliant start from Melanie Harris, Izzy Slade-Jones bowls a maiden to start things off. Melanie Henry gets herself a wicket as well. Gargi Bogli then able to take 29 runs on the board, play 36 balls. Sindhu Harsha goes because of Aditi Chudasama, who was bowling really well in her first couple of overs and kept things tight. It was looked to be a back and forth battle here. Didn't really know which way it was going to go in the halfway stage. But then the partnership between Gargi Bogli and Sania Vagela got things back on the right foot. Still was close heading into the last 5 overs. And then the wicket of Gargi Bogli taken by Izzy Slade-Jones. As Sania Vagela goes by Izzy Slade-Jones. Chetna Reddy Bhagyadiala goes. Izzy Slade-Jones gets through her. And now it's a whole nother ball game, but Giovanna Ross has a 4 and a 6 that changed the game, got off the mark with a 2 through backward point. And so that, to me, was the biggest key. You look at bowling Izzy Slade-Jones, to me, the standout for the East. 4 overs, gave up 11 runs, 15 dot balls, 3 wickets to her name, had a maiden as well. Melanie Henry was very good, 3 overs, 4 runs, a wicket as well. Aditi Chudasama took a wicket in her 3.5 overs, giving up 9 runs. But if we go back to that first innings, again, the East just unable to get anything going. Melanie Henry with the bat, 22 from 23. Disha Dhingra, 27 from 56. But beyond that, no scores to speak of with the ball. Suhani Thadani, 4 overs, 16 runs and a wicket. Rashita Jambula, 2 overs, 5 runs, took a wicket. Asani Vagela gets a wicket for 21 runs in her 4 overs. Even without wickets, you talk about Giovanna Ross, 3 overs, 11 runs, no wickets. But to talk about the economy she was able to bowl with, Chetna Prasad didn't take a wicket, but only gave up 11 runs in her 2 overs. Chetna Bhagyadiala, she takes 2 wickets, 3 runs, 2 overs. So I'm just going to be curious to see where this player of the match goes and who they like to give it to. See it happening at the bottom of your screen there. We'll just get you the name of the player of the match here. It looks to be Giovanna Arras for that little cameo she was able to play at the end. No, excuse me. It's going to be... Not going to be Giovanni Arras. I think it's going to be Gargi Bogli for what she did with the bat today. Again, very impressive. Holding that chase down, 29 from 36. Made things look easy and was able to keep things afloat for the West. And we appreciate you guys joining us as Gargi Bogli is named our SMK Global Player of the Match. Really, really impressive stuff from the West as they get a second victory here at Musa Stadium. And so they'll most likely be playing tomorrow right here on this wicket. We have 2 more games coming today. One will be here at Musa Cricket Stadium, so make sure you tune in at 2 p.m. Central Time Join us right here on the same YouTube. For myself, Aman Patel, for Smart Choice, who's delivered our broadcast partner, delivering all of these fabulous pictures for USA Cricket and Musa Stadium. We appreciate you guys for joining us, and we can't wait to see you right back here at 2 o'clock.